Sometimes, the most devastating choices come wrapped in humor. I learned that the hard way, because one careless joke shattered everything I believed about love. I'm Sarah. I'm 28. And this is the story of how 5 simple words unraveled my entire world. Jake was never the guy I imagined falling for. He wasn't the mysterious rebel or the sharp-dressed executive. He was just Jake. The one who remembered I couldn't stand onions on my pizza. The one who drove nearly an hour just to drop off soup when I was sick. The one who listened patiently while I vented about work for the 100th time. We met in college, introduced through friends. And over the next 3 years, we settled into this effortless rhythm, something between friendship and romance. We never put a label on it. I told myself that was a good thing, that it kept us safe from expectations. But the truth? I was terrified. Afraid that naming it would somehow break it. Afraid of wanting too much. Afraid that he meant more to me than I was willing to admit. Jake never asked for anything more. He didn't push, didn't question. He just kept showing up, quietly, consistently, with that calm smile and those gentle eyes. And maybe that's why I didn't realize how deeply I had fallen for him. Because real love, the kind that feels stable and unshakable, doesn't scream for attention. It just stays. And I mistook that calm for something less than extraordinary. The moment everything changed happened during a night out with my girlfriends. We were talking about dating, about our futures, and someone, Emma, joked, "So, when are you marrying Jake?" Everyone laughed, because apparently the answer seemed obvious to them. And I, not thinking, rolled my eyes and said, "Please. Jake's just my backup plan. You know, the safe guy I'll settle down with when I'm done having fun." The table roared with laughter, but I felt something inside me twist. Because that wasn't true. Jake wasn't my backup. He was the person I always pictured beside me, even if I was too scared to say it out loud. What I didn't realize then was that Emma's boyfriend was Jake's roommate. And even more painfully, I didn't realize Jake would hear about that joke the very next day. At first, everything seemed normal. Jake texted me his usual good morning. We made plans for dinner. But when he called that afternoon, there was something different in his voice, something cautious, restrained. I felt it before I understood it. That night, dinner felt off. He smiled, asked about my day, laughed at the right moments, but it was all too perfect, too polished. When dessert arrived, he looked at me, and the kindness in his eyes was still there, but so was something else. Sadness. Clarity. "I heard what you said last night," he said, his voice quiet. "About me being your backup plan." I froze. I wanted to say it was just a joke, something careless and meaningless. I wanted to believe that. But Jake didn't get angry. He didn't accuse me. He just nodded slowly and said, "I don't think you meant to hurt me. But I think part of you believes it, even if you don't realize it yet." And the worst part? He was right. Somewhere deep down, I'd convinced myself that keeping us in limbo was safer than risking it all. But in doing so, I made him feel like he wasn't enough. And I may have lost the one person who always was. There was a part of me, deep down, that had always seen him as a constant, someone I could lean on while I figured out who or what I really wanted. The heartbreaking truth is that he let me. He loved me enough to be whatever I needed, even if that meant being my second choice. That night, Jake paid the bill, walked me to my car, and kissed my forehead the way he'd done so many times before. But something about it was different. It felt final. Then he said, "I think we need some space. I'm going to take a step back and figure out what I really want." I wanted to tell him not to. I wanted to say I was sure now that it had always been him. But the words wouldn't come. Because how do you convince someone of your love when everything you've done for the past 3 years tells a different story? A few weeks later, I saw him at the coffee shop we used to love. He was sitting with someone new. She was laughing easily, leaning in close. She was beautiful and confident. And they looked right together. Effortless. Like they belonged. When Jake saw me, he gave me a small, polite smile. The kind you give someone who once meant everything but now feels like a distant memory. In that moment, I understood. He hadn't just stepped back. He'd moved on. He had found someone who saw him as their first choice, not someone waiting in the wings just in case. That quiet, dependable love he'd given me, someone else had recognized its worth from the beginning. If you're listening to this and there's someone in your life who loves you without conditions, without drama, someone who shows up again and again, don't take them for granted. Don't assume they'll always be there, because one day they'll realize they deserve better. And when that day comes, they'll stop waiting. And you'll look around and realize they're gone, not because they stopped loving you, but because they finally started loving themselves more. I learned that lesson the hard way, and it still hurts.